Well, hello there. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Matt Parker of Roanoke Animal Chiropuncture. This is my first time live on Facebook, so thanks. I know Facebook Live is set up for questions and answers and comments, and we may get to that. We'll definitely do that in the future. But for now, I want to take a little time, maybe 20 minutes or so, to just really tell you about me, what I do, how I got here, and what Roanoke Animal Chiropuncture is. So, chiropuncture, it's not that difficult of a word. It's a combination of chiropractic and acupuncture. And those are buzzwords, but I do a lot more than that. It's definitely a lot more than that. I've been a veterinarian for about 10 years, but I've been holistic for about 3 years. Before I went holistic a few years ago, I was a fast food eater. I ate McDonald's and Burger King and Hardee's and Golden Corral and Texas Roadhouse and Applebee's and Ruby Tuesdays and all that stuff. And I fed my dog Science Diet dog food and some other good brands of dry dog food. And I was completely satisfied, and I never gave it a second thought. But in 2009, I read Born to Run, and I'd always tried to be a runner, but I would be sore and winded about 45 seconds into the run. Well, when I read Born to Run, I learned a lot about nutrition and overall how the human body was designed to work and what it's designed to do and what it's designed to have for fuel and for exercise. And we don't do any of that in this modern day. It says a lot about how the dogs and cats are supposed to operate, and they don't operate that way either. But that's a long discussion for another time. Point is, I started eating better about 8 or 9 years ago and getting healthier, and it feels great. This guy is me before I started eating healthier. This is me when I went to vet school. You can see, let me see, there I am. You can compare to me now. I'm obviously older now, and I'm leaner. I'm not skinny though. I'm just not as fat and puffy as I was back then. And all that fat puffiness came from the foods I was eating. The foods we eat are what make us puffy. And the foods that we feed to our dogs are what make them puffy. So food and puffiness is also future episodes or several future episodes about food because food is just so important. So about me and why did I go holistic? So first of all, what is holistic? Holistic is really an absolute term, yet we use it as a relative term. So absolute is the mental health, the physical health, the emotional health, the spiritual health, the climate you live in, your interactions with the climate and with others, the vaccines you have, the food you eat, your entire little ecosystem. That's what holistic encompasses. Holistic encompasses everything that affects you because everything does affect you. But we use it more as a relative term. For example, I'm a lot more holistic than I used to be, but I'm not as holistic and complete as some people. My transition started by eating less fast food, less sugar, less sodium, just less of the bad stuff in general. But I really, in the first few years, didn't start eating better. I just ate less of the bad stuff. And that made a difference. I started feeling better. And over the years, I started eating more of the good stuff, which the good stuff are raw foods and whole foods and fruits and vegetables, apples, oranges, spinach, nuts. And I still don't eat enough of the good stuff, but I'm doing a lot better, and I can see it and I can feel it myself. And I've also seen it and felt it in the animals that we've made this transition for. So now, today, I don't eat any fast food, no chain restaurants, nothing from factory farms. And if you don't know what a factory farm is, it's where all of your food in the supermarket comes from. And if you don't know about that, you need to watch the documentary Food Inc., as in Food Incorporated. It's from 2008, I think. And it shows you where your food comes from. It's not a scare tactic or anything dramatic. It's just matter of fact about how your food gets to you, and it's eye-opening. So anyway, I'm still working on going to a whole foods, plant-based diet, which is what I think I should do. But it's difficult. It's very difficult. I ate fast food and restaurant food for 3/4 of my life. And the past 10 years of changing have not been easy at all. I'm getting a lot better. I'm getting a lot healthier, but I'm not there yet. So it takes time. The point is, we're all at a different place on our holistic transition. Or some of us are not even thinking about transitioning to being holistic yet. So you're at the first step on the line. I'm a little further along than you are. And there's plenty of people out there that are further along than me. It just, wherever you are, you take some steps, or you try, or you learn what you can, and the more you learn, the healthier you try to be, and everything you learn about directly applies to your pets, honestly. I have now reached a place in my life where I place a very high value on the integrity of my food and the quality of my food. And I want to know where it came from. And not only for me, but for my dog, and also for your pets, for your dogs and cats. So I became a holistic veterinarian several years ago because I had initially been a general practitioner, a Western traditional or conventional veterinarian. And in that role, I repeatedly dealt with allergies and autoimmune problems and arthritis. And it seemed like that was just a major bulk of what I was dealing with every day. Half of what I was seeing every day would fit in that category of autoimmune or allergies or arthritis or something. And it was like that everywhere I worked. It was like that in Roanoke. It was like that in Northern Virginia when I was in Fairfax. It was like that in Austin, Central Texas. It was like that in Charlotte. And all these clinics and all these vets and me at the time, we all did the same thing. We would use some antibiotics and some steroids and some shampoos and some special hypoallergenic foods. But these allergy and autoimmune problems, they either would not go away or they would keep coming back. So I started looking around, trying to figure out what was wrong here. And I started looking into whole foods for our pets because I had seen how much difference the whole foods and less of the processed food had made in my life and how much healthier I felt. When I started eating better, there were things, better nutrition, better stamina for exercising, better sleep patterns, better wakefulness, not sweating as much. And it applies to the dogs too. So I started trying that for dogs. And that's when I stumbled upon basically just the tip of the iceberg about traditional Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese veterinary medicine and traditional Chinese medicine for people are very, very similar. They're thousands of years old. But the majority of Chinese medicine explains illness by food and corrects illness with food. There's an old saying that we are what we eat. So it uses a lot of food and herbs. And herbs are plants, and that's where food comes from. So herbs are kind of concentrated foods. Anyway, right after I started learning about traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, I was working for a very experienced and successful veterinarian, and she had run a serum allergy test on a dog. A lot of veterinarians do that when nothing else is working, or sometimes sooner. You send a lot of blood to the lab, and they do allergy testing for 100 or more things against the blood and see what the blood and the immune system react to. Well, in this particular case, the lab had lost the blood work, or the shipping company lost the blood work, or I don't know what happened. But 2 weeks had gone by, and we had to resubmit the blood. So we had to get the same dog back in the clinic and draw the blood again and submit it to the allergy testing company. Well, they found the lost sample the same day. Something weird happened to where they had both samples now, and they ran them both, and they gave us the results of both on the same day. And nothing had changed for the dog in that 2-week period. He hadn't been treated with anything. Nothing in his life had changed because they were waiting on the results of the first allergy test. So when both results came back, they were drastically or even completely different. And I had always suspected that. The reason for that is so much of our immune system, 75 or 95%, some very large amount of our immune system is in our gut where our food is. So if you're feeding the wrong food, if you're feeding processed foods and foods that cause inflammation in the body, that's going to inflame your immune system. And if it inflames that 75 to 90% of your immune system that's in your gut, your entire immune system is going to react. And that's what's happening for these allergy dogs and people. When your entire immune system reacts, your nose reacts, your eyes react, your ears react, your skin reacts. Or your immune system becomes autoimmune and attacks your bones or your mucous membranes or your skin. So I decided right then and there that food must be the problem, and I wanted to go holistic to try to get to the root of these problems instead of just treating. The other thing that made me want to switch to holistic medicine was that I felt like I wasn't making enough difference as a conventional Western veterinarian. I felt like if I left that practice where I was, another vet would come in and take my place and give the vaccines and give the antibiotics and treat the sick animals and do the surgery. And everywhere I'd worked, I've loved everywhere I've worked and I've loved the people I've worked with, but I feel like another vet could easily replace me. That not that I was expendable, but I wasn't making enough difference. I wanted to get out there and solve some chronic problems and do the more holistic stuff because there aren't nearly as many veterinarians doing that. There are more now. It's growing becoming quite popular actually. But the reason there aren't more people or more veterinarians doing that is we're taught nothing about that in vet school. We're taught Western symptom treating medicine in vet school. Use the antibiotics, use the vaccines, use the anti-inflammatories, use the surgery. We're not taught really to prevent anything or to keep the animal healthy to where it doesn't get sick in the first place. So in my search to learn holistic medicine, it took a little bit of time, a little bit of looking around. I got lucky. The first few places I looked, these holistic practices didn't want to hire somebody with no holistic experience because they didn't want to take the time to teach. But I found Nicole Sheehan and Carrie Uline at the Veterinary Hospital of Davidson in Davidson, North Carolina, just north of Charlotte, where I learned a whole lot from them. Dr. Sheehan is very holistic and very integrative, did a lot of things. She worked with Reiki masters. She uses a pendulum, she uses herbs, she uses acupuncture, but she also does orthopedic surgery. She works on both ends of the spectrum and integrates it well and does everything. And Carrie Uline at the same place, not quite as holistic, but just such a good, thorough Western doctor. She would always find an answer. She wouldn't settle for things like not knowing why the animal is ill or not knowing what's wrong with the animal. She'd get out the textbooks. She'd do the research. She'd call some friends. She'd figure out, she'd do the blood work, the right blood work, not just a bunch of blood work, but the right blood work to figure out what's wrong and to fix the animal. And that's just with Western medicine. So working there at the Veterinary Hospital Davidson, learned a lot about holistic medicine, but I also learned you don't always have to go holistic, which is all I do now. But your Western veterinarian can do a better job just by being more thorough. So I try to be thorough. So what exactly do? I do traditional Chinese medicine, which I've talked about, which the big thing there is acupuncture, but it's a lot more than acupuncture. It's food, it's nutrition, it's herbs, some special massage techniques. It's understanding that ancient Chinese medicine views the body and illness and health so much different than our conventional Western medicine does. The Chinese medicine uses tongue and pulse and skin and coat quality, behavior, your personality, or the constitution, which is who you were born as. A person or a dog with a really outgoing, fiery, center of the party personality is going to tend to have different ailments, different diseases, and will need to eat different foods than someone like me who's really shy and quiet and introverted. Western medicine doesn't see that at all. Chinese medicine is real big on that stuff. And Chinese medicine finds out what you have too much of or what you have too little of that's getting your immune system out of balance that's going to allow you to get sick in the first place. So Western medicine, as a brief little synopsis, kind of treats an illness or a symptom. Chinese medicine treats the individual person or animal. I also use chiropractic manipulation to keep all the joints and muscles and limbs and all the internal organs and the entire nervous system working correctly. So chiropractic is much newer, much younger than Chinese medicine, but it's still a very holistic principle in that all of the nerves of your body travel near the bones and come out between the bones and the joints and between the vertebrae. And if any of those bones or vertebrae or joints are a little stuck or a little tiny bit out of line, then it pinches off those nerves and it affects the nerve function of your whole body. The theory is if you keep all that stuff lined up correctly and working correctly, that all the nervous system will work correctly and the nervous system will prevent you from getting sick. The nervous system will do its job and keep all illnesses and threats at bay, at least as much as it can in our modern world that's so toxic. I also use functional medicine. And that's a little bit harder to define. Functional medicine really, in my mind, means using whatever method necessary, whether it's regular Western medicine or Chinese medicine or chiropractic or whatever, to find the underlying initial root cause of the animal's problem. Let's not just fix the problem. Let's not just put a Band-Aid on it. Let's go back and figure out, where did this start? When did this start? Why did this start? And is that something that we can correct? And that will make the problem go away, and that will also keep it from coming back. So that's the main premise of what I do, and nutrition is a very big part of that. So the whole concept is built around preventing disease, or if something is wrong, you want to correct it early. So my setting, I'm I'm inside the Nature's Emporium store in Roanoke. I'm inside my clinic, my office right now. You can see it's not the typical veterinary clinic. The typical veterinary clinic is stressful and rushed. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast. All the other pets that are in there waiting are nervous, and that makes your dog nervous. Your dog picks up on the other dog's anxiety and says, okay, I'm ready to go home now. The vet techs and vet assistants that are there are stressed. They're very hardworking people. They're overworked. They're underpaid. They're rushed. They have a list of about a dozen other things to do before and after they see your dog for the appointment. They put on a smile and they're polite, but your dog can sense that they have some anxiety and that they have a lot to do. There's a dog in the back that needs an injection by IV. They need to check on somebody's fluids. They need to take somebody's x-rays. Or an emergency came in a few minutes ago that got everybody even further behind. So the regular vet clinic is just a stressful place because it's so busy and running behind schedule oftentimes. I'm here in the Nature's Emporium store, which is not really a very stressful place. The dogs that come in here, I'd like to say cats too, but I haven't seen very many cats here. But I do treat dogs and cats. So the dogs that come in here, they're here to buy food or to get a new toy. They're usually pretty happy about being here. So when you come into this clinic or this office, there's not much stress. The animals that are around are pretty happy to be here, and your pet picks up on that. I also have this place set up like a living room. I think you can see the couch in the background. I have a nice rug right here on the floor that I'm on now. It's where I do my exams. It's rather cozy compared to the regular vet clinic. And we're not rushed because it's just me and I do one thing at a time. So it's an easier and better and more pleasant experience for your pet, usually, and for you and for me. So my patients, who am I treating? Well, to be honest with you, it seems like the majority of my patients right now are very old arthritic dogs. And we're certainly improving their quality of life for the vast majority of them. But it seems like a lot of these dogs are coming to me the very end of their life, the last stage of their life, or their veterinarian sees what I do as a last-ditch effort. And that is not the goal. That is not how this is supposed to work. The goal is to prevent disease. And arthritis is a disease. We want to prevent it, or we want to catch it really early and try to reduce its effects as much as we can. So most of the 12 to 14-year-old Labrador Retrievers, the kind of the poster child of the arthritic dog, when I see them, their history is such that they've been deteriorating for 4 years, 8 years, I don't know. And you saw them start to slow down 8 years ago maybe, and you thought it was part of getting older. Your vet put your dog on some glucosamine for a few years, and that helped some. And then your dog was on some Rimadyl, and that helped some. But still, even with that, over the years, you've noticed the dog slowing down, getting weaker, having more trouble, more stiff and sore. Well, the whole concept of what I do, holistic medicine, chiropractic, Chinese medicine, functional medicine, whatever you want to call it, is to keep them from getting to this point in the first place. And it works. But we need to be seeing those dogs, 4 to 8 years ago when the problem first started. Or better yet, as really young dogs, and do everything we can to prevent them from getting sick or prevent them from developing arthritis, because we can do it. So age is not a disease. Just because your dog is old doesn't mean he automatically has to have arthritis or cancer. Same for us as people. Just because we're old, we don't have to have arthritis or cancer. So I'm seeing young athletic dogs, working dogs and agility dogs. They come in for chiropractic adjustments to keep everything tuned up perfectly. And the show dog circuit and the agility dog circuit, they know how important it is to have their dog working at optimal capacity. I'm seeing middle-aged dogs and cats that are just starting to have some trouble, and we're trying to get those turned around. Seeing the older animals with arthritis, they're a more serious condition. Seeing those with allergies, autoimmune diseases, things that your vet doesn't really have a cure for. They may be suppressing the symptoms with steroids, and steroids really do work well for that in the beginning. But steroids cause a whole slew of other effects down the road. So we're seeing basically any problem, any age, any breed. But again, if we can see them early, we're much more likely to prevent their symptoms or prevent them from having a problem in the first place. So if you're interested in keeping your dog healthy, I'd say contact me and let's see what we can do to make them healthy. Also, I'm having an informal Meet the Vet here in this office this Saturday from 11 to 2. So I'm inside the Nature's Emporium building in Cave Spring in Roanoke, having a little open. Just come by and chat. Let's see what you can learn about me. See what we might be able to do to help your pet. That's this Saturday from 11 to 2. I feel like I rushed this and like I skipped a lot of stuff, but that's all I have to say for now. So I'm gonna look at the comments, see if there's any questions, see who's joined me. I see some close friends have joined me. I can't remember who Judy Howell is, but hello. And of course my mom joined. Thanks, Mom. And Barbara Large. I'm glad you appreciate what I do. Haven't heard from you guys for a while. I probably need an update. Kim and Georgia are there, and I'm going to try to do this weekly at this time. So next time we do this, I'll try to have a topic that we can ask specific questions of. And unless a question pops up in the next few seconds, I'm going to say thanks for joining, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.